Hare Krishna. So, welcome to all of you again in the fresh session of Pavitra Connect in continuation of our Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 9 lecture series. We discussed last time about Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein told the story of King Khatwanga. How Khatwanga, in one moment, sat down in meditation and perfected his life and went back to Godhead. So this King Khatwanga story is very instructive. After that, we have King Khatwanga gave birth to his son called Dirgabahu, and that Dirgabahu gave birth to the famous Raghu, whom we always refer as Raghu Vamsha, and we refer to Ramchandra, Lord Ramchandra, Raghukula Nandana, and we always say a famous saying, Raghukul ki aisi reet chali aayi, pran jai, par vachan na jai. That famous Raghukul is after the king called Raghu. In fact, as we are mentioning Raghu, I must tell you a small story how powerful Raghu was. Raghu was so powerful that he was one time meditating at the banks of Sharayu river. And Ravan also existed for long time. Right from before Raghu, then many generations after that, Lord Ramchandra came and Ravan was still existing. So Ravan came to actually defeat Raghu. But what he saw that Raghu was killing some animals in South India, sitting at the banks of Sarayu by the power of his mantras. And Ravan just ran away from there. So he realized he's so powerful, and then he learned why he's so powerful. So he learned that his wife is very chaste, and due to her chastity, is extremely become powerful. So Lord, this Ravana disguised as Raghu and went to the tried to go inner chambers of Raghu's wife. But Raghu's wife was so chaste by her antachakshu, by her eyes within her heart, like we can say in poetical way, the eyes of chastity. She could understand this guy is a rascal. He is a imposter. So she chased him away. And Ravan was quite amazed by her power of chastity, that she could recognize that he was not her husband. And here, by the meditative power, Raghu came to know that this Ravan, I left him, I did not kill him last time when he came to attack me, but he has dared to do this kind of activity. He took out an arrow and he chanted some mantras, and he was about to release the arrow to kill Ravan wherever he was when he was running away from there. At that time, Brahma appeared and told Raghu that please do not kill Ravan, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to take birth and he is going to kill Ravan. So please do not abruptly end the pastimes of the Lord by your activity. So then arrow was given to Lord Brahma. Then Lord Ravan, this Ravan came to know that the arrow which was supposed to kill Ravan for sure was given to Lord Brahma. So he did tapasya for Lord Brahma and pleased him. And Lord Brahma said, okay, what do you want now? He said, I want that arrow which is supposed to kill me. So Lord Brahma had to give him the arrow. And then Ravan went to Lanka and buried that arrow in a pillar. And he every day used to offer kumkum and chandan and offer worship to that pillar which had the arrow. And thus this story ended. Raghu did not kill Ravan. And then when Lord Ramchandra was fighting with Ravan, so many arrows he shot and so many heads were cut, and again the new heads were coming. At that time, he was quite apparently externally frustrated. So he asked Bibhishan what to do. So Bibhishan said, my lord, you cannot kill him because the arrow which is supposed to kill him is with Ravan only. So Hanumanji overheard it. He said, where is the arrow? He said, I am actually not aware exactly where is the arrow, but Mandodari knows where is the arrow. So, okay. Hanuman said, no, enough. This is enough information for me. So he went all the way to Lanka, and where Mandodari was performing tapasya to save her husband's life. And that time, Hanumanji spoke in such a word. Are he glorified Ravan like anything. And he said, Mandodari, why are you doing tapasya? Your husband is immortal. No. There is. So there was a discussion, and Hanumanji tricked her to tell him that there is an arrow which is there in this pillar. So that Hanumanji gave one kick to the pillar, broke the pillar, took the arrow and ran to the battlefield. Lord Ram took the arrow, put it on the bow, and shot to Ravana and killed Ravana. So this was this brief mention about King Raghu. And King Raghu actually established the moral conduct in Surya Vamsha, for which the Kul was then named as Raghu Kul. The whole Vamsha was called as Raghu Vamsha. And Lord Ram became Raghu Vamshi, appeared in Raghu Vamsha. The celebrated king established all the codes and conducts and morals and ethics which are till today famous in our history. So, Khatwanga gave birth to Dirgabahu, Dirgabahu gave birth to Raghu, Raghu gave birth to Aja, and Aja gave birth to Dasharatha. And so that means Dasharath's grandfather was Raghu, and Raghu was Lord Ramchandra's great grandfather. Dasharath gave birth to Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna, and then Lord Ramchandra gave birth to Kush and Love. And Kush actually, he gave birth to Maru, King Maru. I will come back to Ramayana little later. I'll just tell you the sequence of the dynasty. Then Maru was a actually great yogi. Eighth generation from Maru, there was a king called Brihadbal in the Vamshat Lord Ram. And he was there during the Dwapar Yuga, when Mahabharat war was going on. And Abhimanyu, when he was fighting in the battle, he killed this Brihadbal in Mahabharat war. Then 30 generations after this Brihadbal was King Sumitra, and he did not have son, and thus the Raghu Vamsha or Surya Vamsha ended over here. But Maru was a Yoga Siddha personality, was the son of Kusha, son of Kusha, son of Lord Ram, who is Kusha. Kusha's son is Maru. And Maru, because of his Yoga Siddhi, he is still living. It seems he is still living in one place called Kalapa Gram in South India. And at the end of Kali Yuga, he will again come back out of his meditation and revive the Surya Vamsha for the next Satya Yuga to come. So this is just a sequence. Now I will go back to the story of Ayodhya. It's very interesting. Actually speaking, Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are described in 2 chapters in 9th canto. And in fact, Valmiki Muni wrote Ramayana in such an elaborate way, and there are thousands and thousands verses in that. But why Shukadev had to recite Lord Ramchandra's pastimes in short, like 2 chapters? It is too short to describe Lord Ramchandra's life and pastimes. Just so instructive, so elaborate. So the reason behind is why even in short, Shukadev ji had to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam with Ramayana. So it is said that unless and until mankind learns the Maryada established by Lord Ram, unless and until human beings are well versed with Ram Maryada, one cannot actually appreciate Sri Krishna and the Krishna Leela, the Leela of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Purna Purushottam. So, for all of us, unless we follow the Maryada or the rules and regulations or the etiquettes or the ideal behavior established by Lord Ram, we are not eligible to understand the intricacies and the mystery of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Because Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are very straightforward. How an ideal husband should be, how ideal son should be, how ideal brother should be, how the ideal husband should be, how the ideal king should be. Everything is very simple and straightforward. So he had one wife. He was Ekapatni Vrata. There are so many things which in Lord Ram's life which actually are easy to relate to. That is why when we read Ramayana, it is very easy to understand and relate to. But when Sri Krishna's pastimes come, suddenly you find him dancing with millions of gopis in the middle of the night. And suddenly you find him lifting Govardhan as a 7-year-old boy. And suddenly you find him doing so many things which are very difficult to grasp sometimes. So the basic qualification to understand the mystical performance of Leelas by Sri Krishna is to understand first of all the personality of Lord Ramchandra and follow those ideal behaviors in our life. That means purify our consciousness by the rules and regulations established by Lord Ramchandra in the personal behavior of all of us, and then we will be qualified. Now, um, just to revise the Surya Vamsha, Brahma gave birth to Shraddha Dev Manu through, he is a Prajapati, of course, Brahma is Supreme Prajapati. So let's go from first. Lord Narayan, from his Nabhi Kamal, Brahma was born. From Brahma's mind, the sage Marichi was born. From Marichi, Kashyap was born. Kashyap married with Aditi. Aditi gave birth to Surya, that is, along with his wife Sandhya Devi, he gave birth to, Aditi and Kashyapa gave birth to Surya Dev, that is Vivaswan. Vivaswan married Sandhya Devi and gave birth to Shraddha Deva Manu, who is also called as Vaivaswata Manu. That means Manu, who is the son of Vivaswan, the sun god. Vivaswan gave birth to Shraddha Deva Manu. He married Shraddha Devi and gave birth to 10 sons. And Ikshwaku, Nriga, Sharyati, Dishta, Drushta, Karushaka, Narishanta, Tushadra, Nabhag, and Kavi. Then Brahma, at the beginning of his first Satya Yuga, in his creation, coronated Shraddha Manu as a Chakravarti Samrat, king of the whole universe, the whole Brahmanda. Now, the king needs a qualified Purohit to do his religious activities, to do his worldly duties, to do his divine duties towards the Lord. That is called as Laukika Kartavya and Paralaukika Kartavya. So these two kinds of duties are extremely important for the king to perform for his own welfare and for the welfare of his kingdom and his people. So for these things, he requires a Purohit. So Brahma had given birth to Vasishtha Muni, and Vasishtha Muni was residing with Brahma in Brahmaloka, a very elevated personality and an elevated qualified Purohita. So he told Vasishtha, it is said Vasishtha tu Purodasam. Vasishtha is the Vibhuti of the Lord. What is Vibhuti? The Teja or the opulence of the Lord. So Vasishtha tu Purodasam. Vasishtha is the Vibhuti of the Lord. So Brahma requested Vasishtha, see, every king, every grahastha has to have Purohit. You please go down. He is the king of the whole universe. So Vasishtha refused to go to the material world. Why? Because he knew that when you perform Agnihotras, Yagyas, and many other ceremonies, there is a lot of karma exchange. And he didn't want to get entangled into karmas and get entangled to the material world. His elder brothers were 4 Kumaras. So he wanted to follow the footsteps of the 4 Kumaras and to achieve the Lord. So Brahma, please listen carefully. Brahma, how he actually spoke to Vasishtha and convinced him to go down. He said, you want to follow the footsteps of your older brothers, the 4 Kumaras. and achieve the Lord and perform tapasya and do meditation and to achieve the Lord. But you know something? When someone does tapasya, the Lord gives darshan, no doubt about it. But this darshan is only for few moments, few minutes. It is not that the Lord comes down to give darshan and stays with you only. He just disappears. After he has dialogue with you, he disappears. What if your activity as a Purohit gives you an opportunity to meet the Lord, not for little time, but for thousands and thousands of years? So then Vasishtha was very happy. He said, if my Purohit, being a Purohit, Paurohitya, if my activities as a Purohit makes me meet the Lord and be with Him, then I'll be very happy. So that's how he convinced him to accept the proposal. And then what did Lord Brahma say? Please listen carefully. Brahma said, you will see the Lord for thousands of years in front of your eyes constantly. That Ajanma Lord, who is unborn Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Ajanma Lord, you will do Jata Karma for him after his birth. He is unborn, but he will be performing Leela of appearing, taking birth. And that time you will perform his Jata Karma. And one more important, very nice things he explained. He said, you will have Vedanti darshan of the Lord. Generally, Vedanta means suddenly we remember Veda and the end of the Vedas. But here, Brahma is talking in a very light, jovial mood. He's saying Vedanti means the Lord who had no teeth in the mouth. Vedanti. There is no teeth in the mouth. So you will see the Supreme Lord having no teeth in his mouth. That means as a small baby, you will see him. Such a good fortune. He said, the Lord who is the source of all knowledge, who delivers all knowledge to the whole universe, to every living entity in all the planets, you will do his Akshar Parichay Samskar. That means Hate Khadi Samskar. That means you will teach him how to write the letters. He'll write Om for him first and do the Sanskar for him. Imagine. For one who is the source of all knowledge, you will do Akshay Parichay Samskar for him. In fact, you will do his wedding yajna also. You will be his wedding Purohit when he'll marry Sita. And the last but not the least, you will not just remain there as a devotee of the Lord. You will stay there as Guru of the Lord. So Vasishtha Muni was so thrilled. Not that he wanted to become Guru of the Lord, but Brahma was explaining, you are thinking from your own point of view that I don't want to go to the earth and perform these activities, get entangled. Your whole life will be with the Lord. Of course, not the whole life. Vasishtha was there. We have read so many stories of Nabhaga and so many Prishadhara. So right from the beginning of creation, Vasishtha was there on earth. And Surya Vansha began from Surya Dev and Shraddha Manu and his 10 sons and their dynasties and their stories and their stories. And then finally Raghu comes and Raghu gives Dirgabahu. Dirgabahu gives birth to Aja. Then he gives birth to Dasharath. And then Lord Ramchandra came. That means millions of years before Lord Ramchandra came, Vasishtha was already there as the guru of all the kings of Surya Vamsha. So then Vasishtha became ready and Manu expressed the desire to have the spiritual abode on earth. Now see, first Manu came as the son of Vivaswan. Then he was brought down and coronated. Then he was now joined by Vasishtha, the combination of king and Purohit. Now Manu expressed that we must have a spiritual abode or a spiritual dham established on earth. So Manu and Vasishtha performed severe austerities and pleased Lord Vishnu. And Ayodhya is the center of the Maha Vaikuntha in the spiritual world. See, if you study spiritual world, the material world ends, our universe ends, then we go out and we see many Vaikuntha Brahmandas, many universes, and they all are coming from Mahavishnu. And then Mahavishnu is residing in Karana ocean, and beyond Mahavishnu is Viraja river, and beyond Viraja river, the spiritual world starts. First of all, it is fully enlightened by Brahmajyoti. In Brahmajyoti, there are many Vaikuntha planets, unlimited Vaikuntha planets. And then there is a specific region in the spiritual world where there are specialized Vaikunthas. They are called as Maha Vaikuntha. And in Maha Vaikuntha, there is Dwarka, there is Ayodhya, there is Mathura, and beyond Mathura, Ayodhya, Dwarka, there is Goloka Vrindavan. So before Golok Vrindavan, there's a Mahavaikuntha area, and in Mahavaikuntha area, the central point is Ayodhya, just spiritual Ayodhya. So now Vishnu got pleased, but he said, "You are demanding spiritual world to come down. How can spiritual world Mahavaikuntha come down on the material world on earth?" So then, because they had already pleased him by tapasya, so just to bring Ayodhya to earth, first Lord Vishnu established his chakra on earth, and then he established Ayodhya on earth. That means Ayodhya is not on earth. Ayodhya is still like an aeroplane standing on the earth, but it is not standing on earth, it's standing on Sudarshan Chakra, the platform. So Ayodhya is the first city established on earth. Please note. Now Purohit is there, king is there, Ayodhya Dham has come. Now Manu is saying the holy Dham must have a holy river. So then Sharayu river appeared as the very first river on earth. Because any holy place, it has got tremendous spiritual power. But the tremendous spiritual power is realized or manifested only when there is a holy river. It's like the holy river is a means of creating divinity in the divine holy place, in the divine dham. Now, how actually Sharayu river came into being in the spiritual world? Very interesting. You know, our Lord Vishnu shed tears during his devotee Lord Brahma performing tapasya. You know, when Vishnu created Brahma, Brahma performed tapasya. And looking at Brahma's devotion and absorption in tapasya, Vishnu got very pleased and he shed tears. And his tears collected in the area called Manas Sarovar. That Manas Sarovar in the spiritual world, which also then appeared in the material world. So when Manas Sarovar became flowing, became Pravahi, that became Sharayu river. In our material world, there are in Himalayan range, there are two areas called as Kumayu Mandal and Gadwal Mandal. In Kumayu Mandal, we have a place called Sharyavaha, and Sharyavaha is Sarayu beginning place. The Sharayu began flowing. And in Gadwal Mandal, we have Gangotri, Yamunotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath. So Sharayu starts at Mansarovar, which is Vishnu Vatsalya Jal. So Sharyavaha in Kumayu Mandal has a big black mountain just like Shaligram Shila. And she flows like milk from the mouth of Shaligram Shila. Now Manu said, now the divine Sharayu river from the spiritual world has come down along with Manasarovar, appeared from Sharyavaha mountain in Kumayu mountain. Now we have river, now we have dham. Now we must have a vigraha to complete the whole set. Now, for the purpose of worship by Brahmadev, the Lord appeared as Ranganath. This is another story in the beginning of creation. Brahmaji pleased Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu shed tears. Then they had dialogue, and Brahma said, I want a deity to worship. So that time, from Kshir Sagar, from the milk ocean, Lord Vishnu created a deity of Lord Ranganath and presented it to Brahma. And Brahma started worshipping Ranganathji in Brahma Loka. Okay. So now, before creating Srushti, Lord created Ranganathji and he established in Brahma Loka. And then Brahma got released from any danger of bondage, which can be caused by the activity of creation in Rajoguna, in the mode of passion. So why Brahma wanted to have deity? Because he knew his activity is in the mode of passion, to create, to multiply. And he may get entangled by the power of passion. So that's why he wanted deity. So he does his service but will not get entangled by the bondage of mode of passion. So then Brahma received Ranganathji, and Brahma celebrated Brahmotsava, the day of appearance of Lord Ranganath in Brahmaloka. And now Shraddha Deva insisted, after learning from Vasishta that Lord Ranganath is residing in Brahmaloka, he insisted that we should have Ranganath in our Ayodhya on earth. So Vasishta did severe tapasya to please Brahma, and Vasishta said, please give your deity. So Brahma said, I will ask the Lord only, because Brahma was reluctant to give his deity. Huh? Who will give his deity? You tell me. It's also explained in scriptures that uh, one should never go to anybody's house and ask their deity. Sometimes what happens is, suppose you go to somebody's house and they have 11 Shaligram Shilas. So you may feel like, oh, you have 11? Can you give me one? I also can worship. But it is not a good etiquette. It is explained in scriptures that one should not ask anybody his own deities for your worship. And there are ways and methods of procuring deities. Anyways, that's a different subject matter. So Brahma was not very happy with this proposal. But what to do? They have pleased him with tapasya. So he said another answer. He said, okay, I will ask the Lord only. What is his desire? Why should I decide to give him or not? I am his servant. He is my master. So let me ask him. So he went to ask Lord Ranganath, and lo and behold, Ranganath ji said, "Arey, I appeared only to go to reside in Ayodhya. I'm waiting when Ayodhya will be established on earth, and I'm waiting to go there." So now Brahma was completely niruttar. That is, Brahma just couldn't speak anything. And then Ranganath ji uh, gave another deity of himself to Lord Brahma for his satisfaction. And then Ranganath ji appeared in Ayodhya. Shraddha Deva Manu established him, received him, welcomed him, worshipped him, and all his descendants, whatever we narrated a couple of minutes ago, all his sons like Ikshwaku and Nriga and Sharyati, Dishta, Drushta, Karushaka, Prashadra, Nabaga and Kavi, Ambarish Maharaj, everybody worshipped Lord Ranganath as their family deity, ancestral deity. And then Raghu worshipped Ranganath ji, Dirgabahu worshipped Ranganath ji, Aja worshipped Ranganath ji, King Dasharath worshipped Ranganath ji, and Lord Ramchandra, as the son of Dasharath, also worshipped Ranganath ji. And then what happened? Lord Ramchandra lost Sita and he went to Lanka and fought with Ravan and killed Ravan and released Sita and made Bibhishan the king. And Bibhishan came to participate in the coronation ceremony of Lord Ram. And when he was leaving, he said, Lord Ram, my dear Lord, my worshipable Lord, you are not coming with me. You are with me. I'm your devotee. I cannot stay without you. But you are now going to stay in Ayodhya and I'm going to live in Lanka. Then how do I have your association? So Lord Ramchandra gifted him the deity of Ranganath ji. And Vibhishan, there was one condition when Lord Ranganath became ready to go with Vibhishan to Sri Lanka. He said, Vibhishan, I have only one condition. You are carrying me, but you should not put me down on the ground anywhere. Wherever you put me on the ground, I will stay there only. So Vibhishan said, no problem. Absolutely no problem. So Vibhishan started traveling towards south direction, and suddenly he came across the holy river called Kaveri. And the celestial, crystalline, purest waters of Kaveri attracted him. And he said, I've come all the way. It's time for Sandhya Gayatri also. Let me just take bath and do my Sandhya. Hardly any time will be there. I will then travel to Lanka. And he kept Lord Ranganath down in the bank of Kaveri. He took bath and he did his Gayatri Japa, Sandhya Vandanam. And he came to pick up Lord Ranganath. Lord Ranganath said, you forgot my condition. You put me down and I'm going to stay here only now. So Vibhishan was very upset. He said, how will I go without you? He said, don't worry. The way you have put me and the way I am lying down here is my lotus feet are towards Lanka. My eyes are gazing at your kingdom. And I will be keeping my drishti, my eyesight always over you. You will be able to see me from Lanka sitting on your Singhasan. So even if I'm here, you will be able to constantly see me. I will be able to constantly see you and protect you with my vision. So thus Lord, and another thing is, he said, my left hand, you see, my left hand is towards you, is towards south direction. Right hand is supporting the head, and the left hand is towards his legs, and it is like blessing Vibhishan. So today also, if you go to Sri Rangam, you will see the divine position of Lord Ranganathji in such a way that is looking towards south direction. And then it is said that from Lanka, Vibhishan was coming every day to worship Ranganathji. And one day, what happened? He used to come to Sri Rangam every day to worship. One day, while he was driving his chariot towards Sri Rangam, he somehow crushed the one of the feet of one Brahmana. Not knowingly, just accidentally, one of the limbs of the Brahman was crushed. And local people were very upset to see that the Brahman was killed. This story comes in Skanda Purana. So they actually all attacked Bibhishan out of anger, all the Brahmanas, and he of course did not retaliate with Brahmana, though he was Kshatriya. And they captured him and they arrested him and put him in a jail. And we will angrily they said, for them it was an impossible thing, but they said angrily that we will release you only when the Lord will come to release you, which is like impossible. That means we will never release you. And lo and behold, Lord Ramchandra appeared from Ayodhya. He came down from Ayodhya on an aeroplane, and Lord Ramchandra pleaded with all the Brahmanas to release Vibhishan from the jail. And he said, the aparad of Brahma Hatya of my devotee Bibhishan, I will take on my head. So that's how Lord pleaded himself. And Lord pleaded and released Vibhishan. Now, what is the purport of the story? That because Bibhishan was a pure devotee of the Lord, and because Brahmanas got darshan of Bibhishan, because of Bibhishan, they got darshan of the Supreme Lord. So many hundreds of Brahmanas got darshan of the Lord just because of having captured Bibhishan. This is called Bhakta Mahima, the glory of a devotee. Huh? When the Lord told Vibhishan that now onwards don't come physically, come in adrushya, that means come in invisible form, come in lakshanik form, and from there or that day onwards, still Ranganathji is worshipped by Vibhishan, and every day, let me tell you one thing very significant. Every day, before even the pujaris of Ranganathji in Sri Rangam open the deity and wake them up, there is a fresh flower and there is a bunch of chandan at the lotus feet of Ranganathji, which is already Bibhishan has come and worshipped the Lord and gone. And after that, the Purohits, today existing Purohits, whenever they wake the Lord up, before they wake the Lord up, they see the fresh chandan, fresh tulsi, fresh flowers at the feet of Ranganathji even today. And those are all kept by Bibhishan, because Bibhishan is Chiranjeevi. Bibhishan has the Vardhan of Lord Ram that he will live till the creation is there. So this is the out of the box story of Ayodhya Nirman, of Ayodhya Sharayu, and so many things. Now Shukdev Maharaj is describing Ramayana for the very important understanding that, as I already explained, I would like to repeat it, to establish the Maryada of Lord Ramchandra in our life. And when we accept the Maryada of Lord Ramchandra in our life, we become eligible to understand Krishna Lila. And Krishna Lila is the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Lila is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. The whole discussion which took place between Narada Muni and Vyasadev was that you, oh Vyasadev, you wrote all the scriptures, you wrote all the knowledge, but you did not write the glories of the Lord. Huh? The glories of the Lord are not written by you. So unless you write the glories of the Lord, you will not be able to get fulfillment. Your work will not be completed. It will not be perfect. It's all incomplete unless you describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. Hari Lila Varnan, Sri Krishna Lila Varnan. So you can now understand and imagine how much Shukdev Maharaj is preparing all of us to receive Sri Krishna Lila. He has spent 9 cantos of descriptions of Bhakta Charitra. This is preparation to receive Krishna Lila. Krishna Lila is not something to be directly studied. Before we study Krishna Charitra, we should study Bhakta Charitra. We should know the lives of the great devotees like Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad, Kunti, Bhishmadev, Parikshit, and then Parshuram, and so many incarnations of the Lord, um, Narsimha Bhagavan, Vamandev. All these first 8 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are so beautifully describing the creation of the Lord and the variety of incarnations of the Lord, varieties of devotees of the Lord, their charitra, their sacrifices, their surrender, their perfection. So when you hear Bhakta Charitra and all the incarnations of the Lord, then we become eligible to understand Lord Ramchandra's Charitra. And when we understand Lord Ramchandra's Charitra and imbibe those principles in our life, we become eligible to understand Krishna Charitra. This is the sequence. One should not just jump straight to 10th canto to understand the heart of Bhagavatam. We have to approach very humbly. Even when we are seeing the deities of the Lord, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to first see the lotus feet of the Lord. The most attractive thing in the personality of God is his face, Mukha Kamala. And we are tempted to just see the face, but still we are advised not to see the face of the Lord first. We are supposed to see the krama, that is the lotus feet of the Lord, then his legs, then his jangastan, then his katistan, then his abdomen, then his vakshasthal, then his kantha, then his face, Mukha Kamala. It is said that when we approach the Lord like this, then we get the full divine darshan, the benefit of full darshan of the Lord. Because this method of approaching the Lord is the method of humility. When we approach the Lord straight looking at the face, it is not humility. When we first bow down to our elders and then take their darshan, that is respect. And when you respect, you get blessings. What happens when you bow down? Immediately the hands come. The elders will immediately raise their hands to bless you. Their heart is filled with blessings and auspicious feelings for you. So similarly, when you approach the Lord via lotus feet and then rise, and you raise your vision upwards, then the Lord immediately becomes Abhayahasta. Abhayahasta means giving blessings. So our purpose of Lord's darshan is not to please our eyes. The purpose of Lord's darshan is to receive the blessings of the Lord. That is why we approach the Lord from bottom, from his legs, and then come up like this. So Srimad Bhagavatam also is personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord, Krishna Swadhama Upagate. Sri Krishna left for his spiritual kingdom, and immediately he appeared at the horizon of the material world as Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the personification of Krishna, Sri Krishna himself, and the first 2 cantos are supposed to be the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's how Srimad Bhagavatam rises, and 10th canto is supposed to be the lotus face of the Lord. And to approach lotus face, first we have to approach through the lotus feet, then rise up and go on studying and become qualified. And then we will get the full benefit of the darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord, lotus face of the Lord, Mukha Darshanam, with all the blessings of the Lord. If you approach 10th canto directly, then you may have understanding of the face of the Lord, but you will not receive blessings. That is why this whole sequential preparation Shukadev Goswami is doing. Now, as Shukadev Goswami had very less time, also he was reminded by others, because Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are so captivating that Shukdev Maharaj was getting immersed into narrating Lord Ramchandra's pastime. Then he was reminded, Maharaj is less time. Parikshit has very less time. So he then wound up, and it is something called as Eka Shloki Ramayana. Today I could not find that shloka, but I will definitely let you know the shloka in next pravachan. Because now he understood that I am going to elaborate in Ram Leela and there is no much time and I will not get time to narrate Krishna Leela. So he had to abruptly conclude the Ram Leela into one shloka. Of course, there are two chapters of Leela which is established, but in between one shloka he chanted in such a way that the whole Ramayana was finished in one shloka. Eka Shloki Ramayana. So as Shukadev Goswami briefly narrated the full Ramayana to Parikshit Maharaj. We also will read from Srimad Bhagavatam chapter Canto 9, chapter 10 and 11. The brief summary. You see, this 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramchandra appeared in the dynasty of Maharaj Khatwanga. And it describes Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravan and returned to Ayodhya. All of us know that they performed Putra Kamishti Yagya, Dashrath Maharaj and Kaushalya, because for a long time they didn't have any son. And in Putra Kamishti Yagya, all the demigods, including Brahma, appeared. And at the end of the Yagya, Lord Vishnu appeared. He had dialogue with all the demigods, and they were complaining to Lord Vishnu that this Ravana actually has kept us as servants, menial servants in his kingdom. And somehow we have taken some leave, and we have come for this Putra Kamishti Yagya of Lord Dashrath. Lord Vishnu, please save us. Everybody was telling, oh, I am filling water, I am mopping the floor of Ravan, I am filling water, I am bringing flowers from garden. So we are all malis and sweepers and housekeepers of Ravan. So then Vishnu just turned. He said, I will come. And he turned and he saw the yagya of Dashrath Maharaj. And he said, okay, these two are ideal parents for me. I will become their son. I'll accept them as parents. So immediately when he turned, he disappeared and he appeared as the Yagya Purusha, holding the sweet. And he actually merged into that kheer. And that kheer was distributed to 4 queens. And then Lord Ramchandra, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna were born. Because Lord Vishnu, as per his promise, transformed himself into the Kheer Prasadam and came himself as Yagya Purusha himself and distributed himself to Dashrath Maharaj. Dashrath Maharaj distributed himself that kheer to his queens. So then the Lord Ramchandra, then their childhood pastimes are also there. Tumaka Tumaka Ramachandra, Valmiki Muni and our Tulsidas Goswami ji in Ramcharit Manas describe the childhood pastimes in brief, not in extensive length. How Lord Ramchandra gave unlimited pleasure while walking on the learning to walk. And as I told you, Vasishtha Muni, as a guru of the Supreme Lord, performed the Jata Karma, performed the Upanayan Samskar, performed the Akshar Parichay Samskar. All these beautiful childhood pastimes I explained in Ramcharitmanas. And then at 12 years of age, Vishwamitra Muni came and he took away Lord Ramchandra. And Lord Ramchandra killed Tadaka and Subhahu. And Lord Ramchandra shot an arrow to Marich in such a way that 12-year-old Lord Ram, when he shot an arrow, Maricha, thousands of miles he flew in the sky and he fell in the ocean. And he got so scared because of this attack. That time Ram was only 12-year-old. And he was so scared that he gave up his activities as demon. He took sannyas and he went in the forest. All activities of Ravan as a Rakshasa he stopped. He actually took retirement. And then after subduing Maricha, killing Subhahu and Tadaka, Vishwamitra Muni took Ram and Lakshman to Mithila, across the river Ganga. And that time Lord Ramchandra, who is the knower of everything, still innocently asked Vishwamitra, how did Ganga appear? And then Vishwamitra Muni narrated the whole pastime of appearance of Ganga, which we explained last time as a part of Bhagavatam. But it is also there in Ramayana. Vishwamitra Muni is explaining how Ganga ji appeared. By the time Ganga Akhyana was over, they reached Mithila. And then there was a Swayamvar. and everybody had come, and nobody could lift the Shiva Dhanushya. And Lord Ramchandra lifted Shiva Dhanushya, strung the Dhanushya, broke the Dhanushya also. And then Lord Ramchandra got married with Sita. Before that, it is explained that the day before Swayamvar, next day there was Swayamvar, and the day before they saw each other in the garden. And that time it is explained that Lord Ram started sweating like anything, profusely he is sweating. So it is said that he was not doing any activities, he was not fighting a war, he was not exhausted, he was not doing any physical exercise. But just by looking at Sita, he was sweating and sweating like anything. That proves that Sita is much more powerful than Lord. Just by gazing at her, just by Sita's gaze on him, he was sweating like anything. He was completely feeling mesmerized. He lost all the fervor, lost all the strength in his limbs. So then next day, um, Sita Devi was curious. The person who came to lift the bow, is it the same person who came yesterday? And somehow he had seen the lotus feet of Lord Ram. So then, when again she saw at the feet, and she identified that these feet were same what I saw yesterday, and she was very happy to see the same personality. Lord Ramchandra lifted the bow, broke the bow, and then suddenly Lord Ram said, uh, Dasharath said that okay, now Sita, please go and garland this boy. Lord Ram said, I'm sorry, I have been ordered only to break the bow, but I have not been ordered by my parents to get married. I cannot get married with you. It was like a shocking situation. But Lord Ram exhibited a great quality that um, only I will obey my father. So messenger were sent from Mithila to Ayodhya, and permission was sought from Dasharath Maharaj after narrating the whole story. And Dasharath Maharaj gave permission personally. He came all the way there and gave permission. And then the wedding of Sita with Lord Ram took place. In the TV serials, we see that Ram breaks the bow, and immediately Sita comes and garlands him. That is not true. Lord Ramchandra actually refused. Then Dasharath Maharaj came with all the Brahmins and cows and gold and ornaments and chariots and everything. And he personally reached Mithila and then gave permission, and then the actual wedding took place. So then you all know that long story after marriage. Then there was Muh Dikhai, there was reception of Sita, and then Kai. Then after actually 12 years after wedding, Lord Ram was about 14-year-old and Sita was about 6-year-old when they got married. And about 12 years, Lord Ramchandra remained as Yuvraj. And one fine day, Vasishtha Muni and Dasharath discussed that Lord now Ram should be king. And at the coronation of Lord Ram, previous day only Kai made the whole drama and exiled Lord Ram. Along with them, Sita also went, along with that Lakshman also went. And they started staying in Chitrakoot. And 13 years they stayed in Chitrakoot. And 14th year they moved to Dandakaranya. That is what we call as Nasik today. And 14th year was a dynamic year. 13 years at Chitrakoot was very, very peaceful. Lord Ramchandra and Sita Devi, although they were in exile, they were very happy associating with sadhus, daily hearing Harikatha, daily hearing Satsanga, and serving them. They were very, very happy. They were with each other together. They spent good time together. And thus, the sages of Dhandakaranya invited them to come. In the 14th year, they came there. And 14th year, all the drama started. As soon as they came there, Shurpanaka came, disturbed them, and she was insulted by Lakshman by cutting nose and ears off. Then she brought Khar, Dushan, and Trishira and 14,000 Rakshasas, and in 45 minutes, Lord Ram killed them. And then Ravan came, and disguised as a deer, Marich came, and then Lord Ravan abducted Sita and went away. Then Jatai came in between, and Ravan killed Jatayu. Jatayu defeated time and maintained his life till Ramchandra came. He narrated the story, and told that Ravana has abducted Sita, and he left his body in the arms of Lord Ram. Lord Ram did his Daha Sanskar. Then Lord Ram went to Kishkinda Kshetra, Pampa Sarovar. On the way, he delivered Shabri, and with Shabri's guidance, he went to Sugriva, and in the Kishkinda Kshetra in Matanga mountain, they made allies, and then Vali was killed, and then Sita was found out by Hanumanji by jumping over the ocean. He burnt the Lanka, came back with the message that Sita is there in Ashok Vatika. Then Lord Ramchandra was advised by Bibhishan to build a bridge, and the bridge was built. And Hanumanji and monkeys really worked hard to bring mountains from various places and made the bridge in record time. They all traveled through the floating bridge of stones, reached. It is said that for 37 days there was war, very heavy war. 37 days or 87 days, I'm not sure. 87 days the war took place. Out of that, last many days, the fierce battle of Ravan was going on. Before that, Indradit was killed and all the Akampan and Prahast, all those sons of Ravan were killed one after another. Then Kumbhakarna was killed. Then Indrajit was killed. And finally, Ravana came and there was a fierce battle for many days. And I already told you how finally he was killed. How Hanumanji went and brought the arrow of King Raghu meant for killing Ravan. And finally, Lord Ram killed. And then he told Bibhishan to perform the Shraddha. Lord Ram also attended the Shraddha of Ravana. And then he rescued Sita and he brought Sita back to Ayodhya in Pushpak Vimana. And then in Pushpak Vimana, all of them were coming. That time, monkeys also wanted to come. So Lord ordered the Pushpaka to expand to, I think, 1 crore 70 lakhs of monkeys, and 1 crore 70 lakhs of wives of monkeys were also included. And they were all flown to Ayodhya. They brought down to Ayodhya. They all participated and witnessed the coronation ceremony of Lord Ramchandra. And then Lord Ramchandra became king, and 11,000 years he ruled the kingdom. And then when Bibhishan was about to go, I told you story already, he took Sri Ranganathji with him. Finally, it was established in Sri Rangam at the banks of Kaveri. Then, one day Lord Ramchandra was disguising himself and doing vigilance in the night time in Ayodhya, and he came to know that one Dhobi was talking something about his wife, doubting the character of Sita Devi. That I am not Lord Ram to accept you in my house. You stayed with somebody else for one night. You are going to be, I'm going to abandon you. So Lord Ramchandra became very alarmed, He came home and he banished Sita to the ashram of Valmiki Muni. He told Lakshman, please make the chariot and take Sita and go away to Valmiki ashram. Sita was very happy. She thought she was pregnant. So she thought in pregnancy time having satsang with Valmiki Muni like saint is very important. But then she saw Lakshman was crying and crying and crying and crying. So she was doubtful. Suddenly she asked, why are you crying? They reached Valmiki Muni ashram. Still Lakshman was crying. He said, I'm not supposed to take you back. I'm supposed to leave you forever here and go back. That is the order of Lord Ram. That time she accepted the will of Lord Ram as perfect, and she stayed at Valmiki Muni's ashram. And then later on she delivered 2 babies, 2 twin sons, Love and Kush. And they were raised by Valmiki Muni. They were trained by Valmiki Muni. In between, when Sita Devi was staying at Valmiki Muni's ashram, Valmiki Muni and his disciple Bharadwaj Muni, they were performing meditation at the banks of Sharayu river. And that time one hunter killed one couple of birds when they were uniting together. Kraunch Pakshi, male and female were uniting to create babies. At that time, the hunter came and shot an arrow. And that time, Valmiki Muni naturally uttered a curse. In anger. Why you killed the innocent birds? So then the acharyas explain that hunter was Lord Ram, and that male Krauncha Pakshi was Ravana. And Lord Ram actually gave darshan to Valmiki Muni in this unique form. And at that time, when this curse was uttered, it was uttered in a very poetic way, in a very beautiful poetry with alankaras. At that time, Brahmaji came down and gave darshan to gave darshan to Valmiki Muni. And he said, the curse that you uttered is so sweet to hear, is such an eloquent, poetic words that I am now inspired by the Lord to tell you that you should write the Charitra of Lord Ram. So, that particular verse also is there in Ramayana, which Valmiki has written down. So, thus, Valmiki was instructed by Lord Rama to write Ramayana. And then Valmiki wrote Ramayana. And in between, Sita delivered. And the two sons were raised by Valmiki Muni and Sita in their ashram. And when they were grown up, Lord Ramchandra's Charitra was taught to the two boys without knowing that this Ramchandra is their father. And then they started reciting Ramayana everywhere, and they became world famous. They became so famous that their fame of narrating the story of Lord Ram even reached Lord Ram's ears. And one day were invited without knowing that they were their sons in Ayodhya. And that time Sita Devi was not there, and Lord Ramchandra was in Ayodhya alone. So he had to perform many yagyas. So he created many yagya sitas, chaya sitas. Many deities he formed, and many deities were the pran pratishtha. And everybody was sitting next to Lord Ram to as his wife to perform the yagya. So many yagya sitas were produced, and at one point of time, Sita Devi requested Lord Ram, they should also get the benefit of becoming your official wife. So then Lord Ramchandra blessed them that you will appear in the next lifetime when I come as Krishna as gopis. Huh? Yagya Sitas became a special group of gopis, and Lord performed Ras Leela and accepted them as his wives in Brahma Samon Leela, and gave them association as his own wives in the next incarnation. Anyways, that's a different story. So then Love and Kush came and narrated Ramayana in the kingdom of Lord Ram, sitting on the throne. And when Lord Ramchandra's Charitra was being narrated, everybody was so immersed and so overwhelmingly lost in the listening of the narrations of Ramayana that when Lord Ramchandra got up from his throne and came to sit on the ground along with the common men, nobody came to know. So Lord Ram, in one sense, exhibited a beautiful behavior here. Said whenever there is narration of Lord Ram, even if you are a king, one should come down and sit on the floor. So when it came to a summit, then everybody looked up to Ram, and Ram was not on the throne. And suddenly they saw Lord Ramchandra next to them, and they were really embarrassed. He said, no, don't disturb yourself. Please continue hearing. So then Lord Ram then consciously sat with all his mantris and everybody, all the Prijajan, and then finally he came to know that they are his sons. Then he accepted them, and then after Lord Ramchandra, Kush became the king, and then the dynasty took continued. So this is what is Ramayana in brief. I will further tell that the one beautiful narration Shukadev Maharaj is explaining here, that when Lord Ramchandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat Maharaj brought his wooden shoes to welcome him. Bibhishan and Sugriva held the Chamara and Morpankha. Hanuman carried an umbrella. Shatrughna carried the Lord's Dhanusha and Tonir, two quivers. And Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from all the holy rivers. Angad carried the sword. Jambuvan, the Riksharaj, carried the shield. After the Lord Ramchandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshman and Mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vasishta did the coronation ceremony. This is the chapter of chapter number 10. In chapter 11 begins with the further story that in Lord Ramchandra's dynasty, Kusha, the Lord's son, was followed by consecutive names of kings: Atithi, Nishad, Nabha, Pundarika, Keshadhanva, Devanika, Anita, and many, many more. And then it is said that Maru attained full perfection in the practice of yoga, and he still lives in the village of Kalapa. At the end of Kali, he will revive the dynasty of sun god. Next in dynasty were Prashusutra, Sandhi, Amarshana, Mahaswan, Vishwabahu, Prasenjit, and so many other kings are there. All of them will become kings one after another, and Sumitra, coming in the age of Kali, will be the last king in Ikshvaku dynasty. After that, the dynasty will be extinguished. And this is the 11th chapter of 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which narrates the dynasty of Kusha. And after that, we come across the story of Parshuram, which we will narrate next time. King Nimi's story will be there also. So this is how, in brief, Shukadev Maharaj narrated Lord Ramchandra's divine pastimes to King Parikshit. So I will end my today's lecture here, and if you all have any questions, you can ask, and I will like to answer if there are any questions. Lord Ramchandra's Charitra is a Adarsh Charitra. It sometimes appears outdated. It sometimes appears too much for all of us, the way Sita behaved. And in today's modern concept and modern thought processes, we think, oh, there's too much injustice and too much of pativratya, too much of chastity. This is very not required. So much Sita Devi had to undergo torture. But we have to actually go mentally to the situation at Treta Yuga. In the context of Treta Yuga, then we can understand what was the situation that time and what was the kind of etiquettes and kind of standards of chastity that time. And from the level of chastity of that time, whatever Sita did was most ideal. So what we have to understand is we may not physically or actually imitate Sita, but what you have to take is the principle of chastity. What you have to take from Lord Ram is the ideal behavior in our own condition. We may not become king like Lord Ram. We may not be as powerful as Lord Ram, as knowledgeable as Lord Ram. But Lord Ram is, if you read Ramayana, then any situation of life we go through, what we should be doing ideally, we will find the answer in Ramayana. That's why we are, as parts of Kali Yuga, we are also advised to read Ramayana and Mahabharata. Because Ramayana will tell you ideal behavior and Mahabharata will tell you behaviors were not ideal and also ideal. Mixture of ideal, not ideal. And how to deal with those mixtures of ideal and not ideal behaviors, Mahabharata will teach us. Mahabharata will teach us Mahajano Yanagatasya Pantha. All the great souls went like this. So you decide how you would like to go. But Ramayana will tell you exactly perfect and perfect and perfect behavior by each and every person. How Lakshman behaved as perfect brother, how Bharat behaved as perfect brother, how Shatrughna behaved as perfect brother, how Sita behaved as perfect wife, how Lord Ramchandra behaved as perfect father, husband, son, king, every single thing. And it was not a cakewalk, it was so easy to become ideal. Every step was so challenging, so complicated, and so difficult. But still, all these characters of Lord Ram's life, all these characters of Ramayana, they exhibited such a beautiful ideal behavior. So when we read, then we understand that nothing is easy. But even in difficult conditions, when we perform ideal behavior. That is what is called austerity. It's not easy. In a very austere way, we still do what is right. Although it is difficult to be right, to act right, we want to do something which our mind says, but still we get spiritual inspiration from Ramayana, from the behavior of all the personalities of Ramayana, and then we follow, then we become perfectly eligible to receive the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So if there are no questions, then I will like to end. Yes, you can unmute yourself. Can the host unmute her?
Who wants to ask a question? I'll
Aruna
unmute.
Pal.
Aruna Pal.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Loudly,
Thank you.
please.
You're not able to hear Prabhuji?
Loud, loud.
More louder?
It's enough, enough.
Yes. Uh, Prabhuji, actually the question I want to ask is not related to the topic that we talked about in today's session. Actually, personally, for past, I guess, 10 to 15, till Kartik end, it was all fine. The way we all were doing our sadhana, totally grounding.
Your bandwidth is not good, I think. You can write your question in the chat. It's better. Okay.
Sripath Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami.
Hare Krishna. Anyway, so we will end our today's session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.